Welcome to the Pear Orchard Loop Trail, which is part of the Frady Branch Trail System near Toccoa, Georgia. And today, we're not just going hiking, but we're going to go hiking through history.
Maybe I should do like a little time lapse. That's what we said we were going to do of the Forest Service Road, actually.
Our first stop is going to be Roman's Den, a secluded cave that served as a Civil War hideout for William Samuel Roman and William Bill Smith. And then after that, we're going to visit Mary Steele Falls, named in honor of Mary Steele, who spent countless hours documenting local history, ensuring that over 240 historic sites were mapped and preserved. And this waterfall is one of her favorite places, and you're about to see why. It's a fitting tribute to her legacy. All right, let's go.
All right, so after a short and easy walk, there is actually a little turnaround trailer parking spot type area. If the gate was open, you would be able to drive down a little further. Let me check my watch here. Hold on one second. All right, just check the Garmin. It's 1.28 miles to here. So yeah, a really easy. We just had a great time chatting the whole way. No big deal. Easy to find hike, and you're here. And we're getting ready to head to the Pear Orchard Trail. Let's go. All right, and after this secondary parking spot, which may or may not be open when you get here, you just continue along this U.S. Forest Service trail. Woohoo! Look for the 234 and just keep going straight. It should dead end before you have to make another actual decision. So it should end in a T intersection. Oh, wow. That's cool. And as I said, shortly after sort of second parking area that may or may not be accessible, here we go. Today we're going to be doing the Pear Orchard Loop. All right, and after, I don't know, it's been probably a mile or so since that secondary parking lot, we come across this. Wow, look at that. That is so cool.
The Pear Orchard Loop is a moderate 4.1 mile or 6.59 kilometer hike. You do hike a bit of it along Forest Service roads, but a lot of it is also along beautiful paths with big rock formations, creek crossings, and other things. So all in all, it's a very enjoyable hike, especially when you mix in the history.
So we've been alone basically the majority of the hike. We had two mountain bikers pass us on the way out and two other hikers pass us on the way out, but that was at the very first like split off. So the majority of this time, like 2+ miles, we are the only people out here. There's nobody else. So make sure you come prepared. We've hit a nice green section. Look at this.
Yeah, this is pretty.
This is mid-February and this is beautiful. And you can tell the forest is maturing. It is a young forest. I mean, look at this. It's a bunch of young pines and like baby hardwoods basically. But slowly, these hardwoods, as you've seen in my other videos, will push out these pine trees as this forest matures. By the way, this trail is open to hikers, cyclists, and equestrians, so everybody welcome, except motorized vehicles. Sorry, y'all. Maybe next time. All right, so this is where we start going downhill on the Pear Orchard Loop Trail, and we should wind up back where we just were, which should show up on the screen right about now. And that will complete our Pear Orchard Loop. So here we go. And again, I have not seen a single pear. I just want to point that out, or a single pear tree. I'm not a botanist. I don't really know what a pear tree looks like, but I guess I could look that up. That's why you should always have a trail map with you, because you never know if the trail is going to be marked well or not. Luckily, this trail is well marked, but just a reminder. You see these little pine trees? They're too late. They're too late. These hardwoods are going to chase them all out. Too late. These pine trees, they did all right. But yeah, all you baby pine trees out there, you're too late. Oh, we got us a real creek crossing here. Oh boy. All right. So after you cross Leatherwood Creek, Roman Cave is said to be off to the left on a path, which looks like it's right here behind this sign. So let's go see if we can find this Civil War cave. It turns out, actually, that's an island right there, so don't go down that path like I just did. There's a lot of thorns and stuff, but yeah, that is definitely not a cave, it's an island. So we are still walking alongside the creek, trying to find Roman's Cave. I'm sure it'll be coming up soon. Again, if you wanted to hide out from military service, you don't want it to be an easy place to find. You don't want people to just like ring your doorbell and be like, hey, you draft dodging? So I hope it's in a nicely hidden place for their sake. Alright, so this was not the easiest to find. We had to actually come back across the creek. And this is what Google Maps, I think, is saying is the Roman den where these boys hid out. And wow, they weren't kidding. This is overgrown. Here we are. Wow.
Welcome to Roman's Den. This is a hidden cave tucked in the hills near Currahee Mountain in northeast Georgia. And during the Civil War, two men, William Samuel Roman and William Bill Smith, made this cave their secret refuge. Both men shared Native American heritage, which at the time meant they were legally denied basic civil rights, including the right to vote. When the Confederate government drafted them into military service, they refused, feeling it unjust to fight for a country that wouldn't grant them full citizenship. Roman and Smith spent nearly a year hiding in Roman's den. They cleverly concealed the entrance with cedar branches and even carved "God is love" above their hidden door. Relatives would help supply them with food secretly, but survival became increasingly difficult. Eventually, driven by hunger, they stole some smoked hams from a nearby farm, and that act led to their discovery. Betrayed by someone they actually knew, the men were captured by a local Confederate militia, but it gets better. On their way to imprisonment in Athens, Georgia, Roman managed a daring escape by striking their guard with a rock, and he freed himself and Smith. After their escape, Roman fled north into the mountains of North Carolina, while Smith headed west, eventually settling in Oklahoma, where legend says he struck oil and prospered. Today, Roman's Den still exists and can be visited by the Pear Orchard Loop Trail, as you've seen.
It does look like it goes a little further back, so if someone really wanted to hide, they could hide. Oh, these would have been for like putting a candle in or something. So you could put a candle in here and have light. I swear some of this looks like Cherokee writing. This is interesting. All right. Okay, I'm not sure if this is natural erosion or if this is some Cherokee writing in here. Okay, this is kind of cool. So yeah, there's an actual bat right there. Hey buddy, sorry. Okay. Alright, I'm not seeing anything on the ground. It looks just flooded back there. Sorry guys, I'm not that punk. I'm not gonna go back there this time.
Reports from people online who've been visiting this cave as long as 50 years ago said that you could see the inside where the cave had a door at one time, and you could also see a couple small tunnels going off the main room, and those were only a couple feet wide and maybe a foot high. Now, it is said that the Romans' den, when they were hiding out, and it consisted of multiple rooms, and the front chamber, which you just saw, which is around 8 feet square, and then the two rear chambers that were nearly 9 feet high with a natural spring in the back.
This would have been a great place to just sit out by the stars and listen to the creek. Okay, and this is what the top of it looks like. There's some paths here from different directions and a huge tree down right here. So just to give you an idea, there's the creek, and right beyond there is where those boys hid out. So let's all remember, the cave entrance is tiny, very tiny. It's you could blink and you'll miss it, okay? This is the overgrown path that you have to walk to unless you come from the top, which I'm not even sure how you do that. Big old gnarly tree. All right, here we go. This is the creek crossing, and this is where we crossed. And you're going to take that back to the trailhead. So just stay along the creek the whole way here, and then you have this one little simple crossing, but you want to follow the pin on Google Maps, okay? Follow the pin on Google Maps. All right, for those trying to find Roman's Den, it's a little off the beaten path, but if you're on the Pear Orchard Trail, right after you cross the creek, you're going to come down. Don't take this left, as you saw. You're going to come over here and just veer over to the left here. Don't head up the hill. Veer to the left and follow the creek down. And you're gonna go down, I don't know, half a football field or so, maybe a little further, and you're gonna see that big rock that we're gonna show you, and you're gonna take a left and cross the creek again and go up into Roman's Cave. Follow the pin on Google Maps. It is accurate. So this is how we got to Roman's Cave. After the creek crossing, don't take this first left. Head up here, veer off to the left, follow along to the creek, about half a football field, cross the creek into the darkness that is Roman's Cave.
This is Mary Steele's favorite resting place. And who is Mary Steele? Someone who documented over 240 historical sites in this area.
I just don't even have words for how stunning. This is just one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. It's so amazing. I just can't. Wow. I mean, just look at this. Just look at this. Oh, look at this. We got crayfish. Bye, little buddy. Okay. How cool was that? Okay, so this is the first red blaze that I've noticed, which is the correct color for the Pear Orchard Trail, but I don't think I've seen any kind of marker. There was one like tiny piece of tape on a tree to sort of tell you like go this way, not that way. But yeah, this is the actual first marker I've seen. We are 5 miles into this trail, including side quests, and this is the first, besides the signs, marker I've seen. Honestly, it's a decently too well-marked trail. It could use maybe a couple more blazes, but... All right, so after the waterfall, I don't know, 1.5 miles or so through the woods, as you saw. You know, very, very nice, just normal hike through the woods. Nothing super remarkable or anything after the waterfall. There doesn't need to be after a waterfall that's that cool. That waterfall is so cool. All right, here you go, people. So you can make this an all-day thing. You can make it a half-day thing. You can do whatever you want. We're going to be heading back towards the Pear Orchard Loop because that's where we came from. I would 100% recommend that you have a map. I have a picture map of this trail on my phone. I am using an app called Mountain Bike Experience or MTB Experience to help me map this. So make sure you have a map, because while it is well marked, you got to navigate, okay?
And it's not on all trails.
Oh, did you hear that? It's not on all trails. Maybe we'll be the ones to add it to all trails, well, who knows? I am going to have to call this Tazumi Woods approved hike because the cave and the waterfall. It's not often you get to actually walk and stand in history, especially history that's so powerful, such as those gentlemen's reasons for wanting to hide in that cave and taking that choice, knowing the punishments they faced if they got caught hiding in that cave. So definitely really cool to stand on a piece of history like that, and the waterfall. All right, and we are coming back to, this should look kind of familiar. So this is where we turned off to actually start the Pear Orchard Loop. This is the true start of the Pear Orchard Loop, I would say. So we are completing the Pear Orchard Loop, and we are now heading back to the trailhead. Whew. It's not bad. It's not like any crazy elevation changes or anything. Like, you know, a little bit of uphill, a little bit of downhill. I don't know. It wasn't bad. If you've hiked in North Georgia, this wasn't bad. And so, yeah, now we take this Frady Branch Loop, or the Leatherwood Creek Loop, or Perimeter Trail, however you think of it, back to the parking lot. And here we go. And that's it, y'all. We're now just headed back to the parking lot. So I guess technically the Pear Orchard Trail is one of those lollipop or lasso trails, however you think of it. You've taken out and back to a loop trail. Worth it because of the Roman den, the Civil War history. Worth it for the waterfall. Thanks so much for watching. Tazumi Woods. We'll see everybody out there hiking, exploring, enjoying nature. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you've watched this far, you've already done the thing I need you to do the most, which is watch the whole video. So thanks a lot. I'll shut up. Goodbye. I don't have a good tagline. Yeah. Bye-bye. Okay. Love you too. Bye-bye.